Dun, 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 dun. It's Crypto Night in Canada. How's everybody tonight?
Very good.
Good. Hi, Candace.
Hello.
It's Crypto Night in Canada. Yeah, there's Jill. Hi, Jill. Journey's in the house. Dave D. So it's a pretty exciting night tonight. You want to know why?
Tell us.
Tim and I wedding anniversary, 31 years tonight. Dun, 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 dun,
That's wild.
31 years. Can you imagine that with anybody?
So she's got to be nice to me on camera, no matter what I said Saturday night.
Oh, yes. I was so.
Oh,
funny.
there's feedback for that. Trust me.
So
she finally watched the video and it's like, you said what? And I went.
So funny enough.
No, it's not funny, really.
Today I had a little bit of time
more
on
like
my
air
hands.
rage.
No. Today I had some time on my hands, so I was working on some spreadsheets. So I thought, I'll just put on Candace and Tim, and I'll listen to it while I'm doing my spreadsheets. I actually had to pause my spreadsheets, and I'm like listening in on this conversation that happened between Tim and Candace on Saturday night. So if you haven't seen it, you've got to pop over to
we could edit there, and they'd all go and look at the video, and that would boost the ratings. We could just leave it there, and I'm safe.
And I will tell you that it was the funniest thing. I said to Tim as we were having our anniversary dinner tonight, I go, I feel like you gave Candace half truths about our situation. I said, now I feel like I need to go on, and Candace needs to repeat the whole thing, but ask the questions from my point of view.
See, that's it. She asked me.
Boy.
So it was my story.
I know,
my point of view.
Somehow.
And it was my time in the limelight.
But somehow I feel like you have omitted a few thoughts in your head about what our relationship was.
Me omit?
Yes.
Me omit?
Yes, you omitted. Anyways, so controversial. Definitely go and watch Tim and Candace on Candace's Saturday Night live stream. And I'd
say we're setting up a GoFundMe page for me, but we can't do that anymore.
Oh, geez. We're going to get into that topic in a little bit. So, so just to set the record straight, just to lay it out on the line.
Are we muted?
We're not muted. I actually did the family finances for the first part of our married life. I did all the bookkeeping for our business. I paid all the bills.
Is that why you got in such bad debt?
No. We that was 2008. Primarily what got us into the pickle and the big hot water was when we left our franchise and went out on our own, and we refinanced everything in order to do it. And then the economy crashed. And so if you can't get a beginning license and you can't get it, and then the drive test center went on strike. And so if you can't get a beginning license and you can't get an ending license, then nobody's taking driver training. So we ended up having to use every ounce of everything we had available to us just to try and keep our business afloat. And that's what ended up having us going into the restaurant and start to work as a hostess just to try to keep money going through our business and all the rest of it. It was the most challenging time I've ever had as a business person.
I will say, just because that on that point, just because I caught a little bit of Saturday night too, and I know a little bit of your history and even my family history. I think entrepreneurs tend to be hit a little bit harder during downswings, and there's nothing wrong with that, but they get hit harder. And in reality, they bounce back a little bit faster too. And they tend to, there are risk reward ratios that you think about, but that's not, if anyone's wondering, that's not an uncommon scenario Nancy and Tim went through as entrepreneurs. I'd say 90% of them went through that in 2008, at least. It was a wild time.
Which is slightly why I'm sensitive now to all the people who are suffering through what we've just gone through. I've had more people than I care to count on my hand that I used to sell food to, when like independent restaurants that have, like, in the last 6 weeks have just posted in thanking the community for supporting them, but they can no longer stay afloat. And it hurts my heart because I know what it took for us. We got in that loop. It was a 2-year loop. Like, I think most people can suffer through one really bad year in business. But when you start to crest that second year, it's next to impossible because you've moved through all of your reserves. And so it's just been heartbreaking, one after the other, and it hurts my heart every time it happens. And so, I feel bad. I feel really bad for people right now. But anyways, that's how we got into debt. Not
No,
thank you for tuning into this segment called Filling in the Blanks.
Yeah. No, in all seriousness, that interview with Tim on Saturday night, I think it was definitely one of my top 3 favorite in the whole history of the Saturday night live stream. I think Tim did a really fantastic job.
You
and
did do a good job.
Information got out. So
we just put the knife in a different spot.
Show.
Yeah. No, and it was fun to listen to. It was fun to watch, Candace. I'm busting his chops a little bit. Anyways,
what are we talking about tonight?
Well, lots of things have happened this week in crypto. A lot of interesting things.
Warren Buffett.
Okay, Warren Buffett was interesting. I wanted to talk about how crypto is becoming super duper Main Street because, like, now it was all on the Super Bowl. Did anybody watch the Super Bowl? Did you watch it? We never get any of the American commercials up here, so it's hard to know completely what they were, what the ads were. But there was a lot of polls online asking people what they thought of what their best favorite crypto ad was. So did anybody see? Well,
first of all, we should clarify that it was held at SoFi Center, which is basically
it's an alternative banking. It's alternative banking in the US. They have crypto too, but it's alternative banking.
Yeah, SoFi Stadium looked absolutely amazing. And then I believe Coinbase had, people can take a dump on Coinbase for how their commercial played out. I know Canadians, for the most part, didn't get to see it. The Americans got to see a bouncing 30-second QR code. No clue what this was until you scanned it. They played on our genuine curiosity like you've never seen before in your life, with over 120 million people tuning in a span of 5 minutes. Crashed their servers, and in return, they got about 2 weeks. It's still going on. They got at least a week's worth of free publication all across the globe. New people signing up left and right. I don't even think that was a blunder. I think that was, so be it.
Brilliant.
Yeah, because 100 million people now are dead serious about trying to figure out what the hell that was and get their free $15 in America or whatever and rock and roll. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, they were dubbing it the Crypto Bowl, apparently.
Yeah. I know. I just don't like to watch the Super Bowl in Canada because they get all the great commercials down in the US. Up here, we just see Subway commercials, and they're not that great.
So funny. You're so right. It just the same stuff over and over. We don't get to see those amazing ads. Yeah,
they tunnel and stop, and then they tunnel and stop, right? So.
Yep. So, look who's joining the conversation.
All he had to do his hair.
There he is.
And what a job.
Oracle.
Oh, thank you. Let me show you the electrical outlet look.
Yeah.
Oh no, I've had a long day. I've been at the hospital all day. So.
What did you do?
No, my wife had some surgery. So.
Oh, okay. Everything okay?
Is Natasha okay?
Yeah, everything's good. Yeah, everything's good.
She's calling you by your real name now?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay.
I like when she goes, "Oh, Oracle."
Oh,
jeez.
Oh, look what you've started, Ryan. Well, I'm glad she's okay. We're talking about how crypto's had a big week this week with being featured on the Super Bowl, so highlighted so profoundly. I read an article where it said a batch of crypto exchanges, including FTX, Coinbase, and Crypto.com, will air Super Bowl commercials at a cost of up to $7 million per 30-second spot. The game is even being held at a statement named after SoFi, a company that offers crypto trading. This isn't the first time startups from an emerging industry have used the Super Bowl to introduce themselves to a mass audience. Does anybody remember this 2000 Super Bowl between the Rams and the Titans? that was known as the .com bull. Startups that were part of the .com wave of the early internet bought nearly 20% of the total ad slots in what is considered the peak of the tech bubble. Well, that bubble burst. Of the 14 .com companies that purchased Super Bowl ads that year, 4 are still active, 5 were acquired, and 5, including Pets.com, OnMoney.com, and Epidemic.com, are either defunct or their status is unclear. So do we think that we're in a crypto bubble? I'm not sure anyone knows, but I am more confident that while fortune favors the brave, as Matt Damon asserts in his Crypto.com commercial, it also looks down upon those who forget history or have .com in your company name. So I thought it was really interesting.
What was it? Epidemic.com was bought by endemic.com.
Nice.
My goodness, Tim Danter.
Nailed
Tim
it.
Danter.
First,
Put it on the plate, I'll eat it.
Yeah, so genuine.
What did you say there? Did you say it? They like crypto.com and whatnot. They paid $7 million for their
For
ad?
30-second spot.
7 million for 30-second spots.
Do you know how much it is for a coin to be listed on a top tier exchange?
No, how much?
he asks a question and disappears.
He fell off his chair. It was too much.
Does anybody know? And then,
That cough syrop's really
does
working now.
anybody know?
It's 1.5 million. So for Shiba or Satama to be listed on like Coinbase, $1.5 million upfront.
Wow.
Yeah. So 7 million. Yeah, I think they can afford it very easily.
Wow.
And considering the amount of volume that they make every day is it's insane, right? So that's just peanuts to them. But it's great exposure. Didn't they have a QR code or something on the screen?
I heard that. I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is the stat. A stat.
It was bouncing around the screen, I
Yeah,
think.
a few pixels can go a long way. So Coinbase said their
Create a lot of
QR
curiosity.
code Super Bowl ad, which promised $15 in Bitcoin, to Ryan's point, to new users, drew more than the 20 million hits to its landing page in 1 minute, briefly crashing the app. The ad also helped Coinbase rocket from 186th place on Apple's App Store to 2nd.
Whoa.
There's a lot of action going on right now. I know we're on the Super Bowl right now, but there's so much in crypto to chat about. I know you guys brought up Buffett because there's some interesting news on Buffman, and then obviously we'll get into the other stuff maybe later on in the live stream kind of thing. But yeah, lots. I'm psyched for a guy who's a freaking skeptic on a lot of this. I prefer trading it as opposed to holding it. I have never wanted to hold Bitcoin more in my life. And it's funny,
What? Go back. What did you just say?
Okay, we got him on tape.
What did rewind?
I'll tell you this. I was even telling channel members on my live stream and telling them through our community chat there that my whole little thing here is going to be changing in the next couple of months. My whole outlook, my strategy, I'm growing. So things are going to be changing for me. It's not going to be the same as it was when I very first started. But Bitcoin's going to be playing a little bit of a bigger role, still very tiny. I'm not going to be like a 50% crypto guy or anything like that.
No.
But I am totally shifting my priorities. And with respect to what I think is going to happen, my cash position is starting to really take a nice form. And I'm getting ready to maybe figure out what to do with that later on in the year. I don't know, but I've never wanted to own Bitcoin more. And it's funny because the day before that, I got into an argument on Twitter about holding Bitcoin, given how speculative as F it was. And I'm like, I'm not doing that right now. I'm just not going to hold Bitcoin. I got other stuff to do. I'd rather hold cash, whatever. I don't like the speculation. The next day, I felt like I just ate my shoe because I felt like texting him like, you know what? You are 100% right. And I'm scared to death and I need to get myself some Bitcoin. So,
here's the funny thing. As the channel bull, the other day I saw that McDonald's filed a trademark for basically having themselves in the metaverse where you can order McDonald's in the metaverse and have it delivered to your home. And when I saw that, I said, if Ryan sees this, he's going on board.
No, there's something about the metaverse. So I was watching my niece play Roblox. This is both the stock that I talk about on my side and related to kind of Metaverse, but they were saying today not as much. But I was watching my niece play Roblox and how addicted her and her friends are. They have 52 million active users a day, which is mind-blowing. And they're just getting them. It's not really a Metaverse thing. It's a game at the end of the day, but it's kind of a bridge. And when I'm watching her play this and be immersed in this alternate reality and make friends that she's never met, it's kind of mind-blowing. But teaching an old dog new tricks is its own thing, right? So I kind of feel like I'm an old dog here because I don't know how she does it. I don't know how I'm going to get into it. But it is interesting because the kids that I know, at least, every day, all freaking day, they're building their personalities and their caricatures and their homes and their fake jobs. It's like, I don't even know what's going on. And they have their own in-app currency. It just, to me, seems like they're a perfect bridge for kids. So I can see when that next generation grows up. I'm probably going to order McDonald's one day, Candace. You're right, from the freaking Metaverse.
He'll be playing with his niece and go, "Hey, you hungry? You want a snack? Let's get a Big Mac."
No, I will say this. Jay's saying crypto bull confirmed. I'm selling. No, I'm not a crypto. Now, if anything, I'm interested in DeFi, but more, I was almost focused on the alts and ETH side of things. And now it's kind of shifting a little bit. And maybe I'd say at this point balanced out 50-50 ETH and Bitcoin, but I'm really, really opening up to the idea of Bitcoin when I really wasn't.
Why?
Are we going to get into this right now, or you want to save it for?
Might as well. Great segue. Do it.
Well, I mean, flat out the Emergencies Act, right? So we all knew the Emergencies Act was going to come down here in Canada. That was obviously spoken about in advance. I don't think anyone was surprised. I think where people were surprised in the Emergency Act was almost the very first thing she said. It wasn't even the last thing she said. It was the first thing she said. We're going to cancel your bank accounts, seize your cash, property, and assets, and go after you crypto sponsors. And I sent Tim a link before the show. I'm not sure if he's seen it, but they already froze a bunch of crypto wallets. Okay, it's a CoinDesk article. So they froze crypto wallets. I don't even know how that's freaking possible. I haven't read it. I just sent it to you right before the show. But that was the only thing that freaked me out. There's also this guy, I'm not going to mention his name, a big crypto YouTuber who has helped set up the protest fundraising side on the crypto end. And they're really screwed right now. Like, they're having posts being pulled down, and who knows what's going to happen to them on the banking side of things. A lot of these live streamers have had YouTube claw back any of the money that they've been earning just for filming it. So it's very odd. And especially for the YouTubers filming it and live streaming it, that to me is criminal, pulling back from them because they're the only ones showing what's going on. But anyway, this whole thing, I'm like, you know what?
And they're not even providing commentary. They're just filming. They're just walking around filming.
And that's what's freaky about it. So, like, for me, I don't want all my money in crypto, but and when I say crypto, forget crypto. I don't even want to say that right now. I don't want all my money in Bitcoin, but I want a chunk of my money in Bitcoin, and I want it on a cold wallet.
Yeah.
I don't want to earn 5 points on my half of Bitcoin. I don't care. The amount of risk implied with a BlockFi or a Ledden, I don't care how nice Mario is. The amount of risk implied with Ledden and BlockFi, no, screw it. Because I was talking on my live stream earlier this week as well, when we've got Russia adopting crypto Bitcoin so much so that they're settling their gas and oil trades in Bitcoin now. So if there's ever an issue with the United States and Russia becomes a threat to national security, well, then that could be an issue for crypto regulation. And at the end of the day, who's going to be affected? Not really the cold wallets, but the freaking BlockFis and the Leddens of the world. Are going to be screwed.
Did you see what happened with BlockFi? They had to pay a settlement. So
$100 million, but I think Pomp described that situation. Now, we got to realize this. Pomp is
an investor.
So we got to So we got to classify. We got to at least acknowledge that he is an investor. But $100 million in the grand scheme, virtually nothing. I don't really care about the fines. Companies get fines 24/7, right? That happens every day, all day. I don't even take notice of that. To me, it means virtually nothing. The only thing I care about is obviously we're seeing governments kind of test what they can get away with, in a sense, however you want to look at it. And, if Russia was a serious issue because they said, because of sanctions, and now you don't have access to US dollar, whatever, Bitcoin is now a threat to the United States in some level, right? So I don't want to have it anywhere but a cold storage. And that's it for me. I don't want BlockFi.
Well, I think what we need to do is we need to back the train up a little bit, because Verena said, she says, what do you mean crypto wallets are now being checked? So I'm going to read something that I pulled off the internet. And this was on Anthony Pompliano's show, The Best Business Show. It was episode 147. And his show was called Canada Invokes Terrorist Financing Rules. Oh. And so then he had posted a tweet on his thing, and it was right from the video where Chrystia Freeland, second in command to PM Trudeau, just said in a press conference that they can now freeze Canadians' bank accounts if the government suspects that you have donated $25 or more to the trucking convoy. So basically, then it goes on, the little article underneath says, democracy has died in Canada today. Freedom means that we have to protect the rights of freedom of speech, even if we detest what they are saying. We have crested a very dangerous slope. Even if you don't agree with why they are doing this, we have to respect their right to do it. So now, stopping traffic flow in goods and services is really a traffic matter. It really is. And the police can arrest people for traffic violations, but freezing bank accounts for supporting a cause, again, whether we believe it, align with it or not, is a terrible, terrible, terrible slippery slope. Go ahead, Ken.
About this. It's illegal what the government's doing right now, because the Emergency Act is for when Canada's sovereignty is being attacked. But sovereignty is not being attacked. So
it's not illegal till the Supreme Court says it's illegal, dude. Because at the end of the day,
and now they're labeling truckers as terrorists so that they have the ability to freeze their accounts. This is a joke.
Well, you want to know what the issue is that this is how you can tell it's extremely short-sighted. Justin, I mean, at the end of the day, the truckers have really won quite a bit here. Mandates are really shutting down everywhere, despite what anyone says. They've really knocked it out of the park on this. So I don't really think the truckers have too much to worry about. Where this really blows my mind is the people in favor of this emergency action are going to be the ones suffering from it in 5 years from now. What if we ever get a totally right-wing person, even so far right, it'll blow your friggin' top off. I mean, I consider myself right, but imagine someone just way on the other side of the spectrum who's just now with this legal precedent, good luck, okay? Because if it's established as legal precedent, therefore, it can be duplicated. And that's what Brian Pickering, who signed the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, he's the last man alive who signed it. He said it's not necessarily about the truckers right now, and it's not necessarily about the Emergency Act. It's about the next time any government chooses to do it. It's this easy. And it's like the next time you have a protest that burns one car, who's in office? Because that protest might just shut down and you're going to jail and you got all your, at the end of the day, it's ridiculous the precedent they're setting right now. I think it's absolutely scary. I don't think it's going to backfire in the short term, but I think in the long term, big time. Also, we're seeing the premiers really take a step back from Trudeau, even Quebec, New Brunswick, and PEI. And this is the thing. It's like Trudeau is such political poison now that even people who were with him, through and through.
In his party. He had people in his party against him.
All he had to do is sit down with the truckers and actually talk to them. He still hasn't done that. What an idiot.
Well,
because in the court of law, it's did you do everything that was reasonable? And he hasn't done everything that's reasonable.
Exactly. Like Putin, I don't care what you guys say. I'm your dictator, and this is how it is. And that's exactly how he's playing it. It's insane.
Well, and I said to some people yesterday, we were having this conversation. I go, he actually, if you take away all the issues, what this is all about, and you just look at it from a leadership point of view, he could have come out smelling like roses on this thing. He could have, when you get to a moment in time and you can go left or you can go right, you come to a fork in a road and you can decide how your destiny is being met in that one moment in time. If he had come out and addressed that large population of people and he listened, and even if he said, listen, this is an international issue. I got to work this out with my buddy across the way. I'm going to go and see if I can get something worked out. And this is our concerns. This would be the give and take. He went and tried to get Biden. And if Biden never did anything about it, about the regulations with the PCR testing and all that sort of stuff. At the end of the day, he would have come out looking like, he listened. He might not have agreed with it, but he sat down and he listened. And he said he would try and negotiate some kind of a passage situation over there. Could have come out looking like roses on this, but he opted to not do that.
If you own a company and all your employees are grumpy, you're going to sit down with them and be like, okay, hey guys, what's going on? You know, you're going to ask them what's going on. And Trudeau has not done that whatsoever.
I think the problem with him is, one, he's showing his true colors as a person, and it's not flattering necessarily with his inability to deal with certain conflicts. It's kind of surprising a little bit, for me at least. Even though I dislike him, I find it a little bit surprising. But now he's dug himself into such a hole that if he does turn and go 180, he may as well resign, because there'll be a leadership question at that point. Totally. So it's like he's kind of been so bad that now he can't turn around without giving up his job, you know? Because I bet you if she tried, and I'm not a fan of Chrystia Freeland either, but if she raised a non-confidence vote, I don't know how many Liberals would be in favor of it, but I know that anybody but Trudeau right now is kind of where the country's at. I mean, when you've got CTV throwing out polls that like 16 to 28%, one, what kind of margin of error is that? And two, 16 to 28% of Canadians are unhappy with how Trudeau handled it, irregardless of the trucker convoy. This guy's political poison. Like, he can't even.
But don't you think she came out by her being the one to announce that they're going to seize bank accounts? Don't you think that brushes her with the same stroke as him?
100. And don't you? And this is how Trudeau is such a coward, because he just destroyed the only Liberal Party chance that they had at winning the next election, which is her taking the step forward. Okay, having a female prime minister, that would have been their only chance forward. He killed her because he was too much of a coward to tell them that he's shutting down the accounts, even though he's in the background nodding and we're all looking at him. We're not even looking at her. And she was like quivering. It was the weirdest thing. I'm not going to say she was quivering, but it didn't sound very confident on.
She wasn't comfortable with it.
No, it was not comfortable. And you could tell that it just seemed like, holy shit, this is most definitely not something that, I mean, look, someone else talk. Candace, what do you think about this?
Well, back in the fall, nobody wanted an election that they gave us. Here we are coming into the spring, and we all want that election now.
Yeah.
Think about that.
No, you're right. And you know, the heartbreaking thing is, so I got into this bit of a tete-a-tete with my girlfriends last night. And it's so funny, you know, when you bring up this subject, and everybody comes at it from a very different point of view. So I'm always cautious. I'm cautious on how I approach things, you know your audience, all that sort of stuff. And it's totally was evident. My one girlfriend doesn't go to any kind of alternative source. She watches the mainstream media, and the rhetoric that she kind of spun out was all the stuff, completely 100% all the things that the mainstream media is showcasing. Well, there was Nazi flags. Well, there was Confederate flags. Well, there was this, and while they're defecating, while they're doing that, like total mainstream. So I sit and I listen and I go, because you know that's if that's what they're consuming, then they're only going to know that point of view. They're not going to know that there's other ways. So I said, I don't know if you guys know this, but the Americans are being fed a completely different story than what we're being fed. She says, really? How do you know this? I said, well, my best girlfriend, Debbie, who sometimes comes on here and says hi, she tells me all kinds of things. She says, did you know, and I forget which bridge it is, so don't take me verbatim. She goes, did you know that at one of your bridges, it probably was the Ambassador Bridge, I'm thinking, that the veterans went and stood in front of the truckers and stood up for their freedom in front of the police. So the police are here, truckers are here. The veterans in their uniform came and stood. I hadn't heard that. I hadn't seen that in the media. But that's the image that the U.S. is getting of what's happening in Canada. The U.S.,
you know what the U.S. is? I mean,
all
Nancy,
these amazing things that's happening in Canada, like how a country can peacefully protest. Their demonstrating to the world. Their media is showing them, hey, you got something to say? This is how you peacefully protest. She goes, it's like we're being slapped in the face about how bad we protest. You know, like, so she's telling me how they're being fed, because every country is being fed propaganda. Doesn't matter. We're being fed propaganda. They're being fed different propaganda. Everybody around the world is being told something different about what's happening here.
Well, I hate to say it, but Fox News is doing the proper coverage of it this time. They really are. Everything I've seen on Fox.
This is what I was going to say, is that Fox News, though, is the only one showing footage from the live streamers who are actually filming it. It's like nothing is more annoying than watching CTV take a picture of an empty street, and then you go on to Autowalks, and there's 1,000 people downtown. And it's are we wondering why people are frustrated? And you know what I mean? It's unique, but Fox is kind of killing it for that. They're being a little bit more honest.
Cyberhawk's right. The world is watching Canada. The vets also, with the police blessing, took down the fence at the monuments to clean it up. Main Street Media said that the protesters took it down in rage. And this is the thing that's just, I don't understand at this point how the media is doing this either. I don't understand what story are they trying to spin here?
It's weird because it's so unique how much footage of this protest we have as compared to any other protest. I mean, forever in this country? Like, we can literally see every step of every street corner live with like 50 different people at all times. And we have eyeballs, and they're literally saying something entirely different on the other end of this, on the other end of the channel. I think, well, look, I made this point on Twitter the other day. Ratings talk. Okay. At the end of the day, ratings talk. CBC has nobody watching, just a few bunch of whoever's. No, they don't. I mean, literally, they have like no one watching. CTV has a lot of people watching, but that's dwindling. These ratings you can check out publicly. And how are these YouTubers live streaming, making $25,000 a week in donations, that people want to see the news? People want to see what's going on. And these,
I want to see, forget the news. I want to see the truth.
Yes,
exactly. Give me multiple angles of what's going on. Okay, show that there was some people there with some bad flags. If that happened, I want to know that it happened. But as my one girlfriend said to my other girlfriend, and doesn't know that I have these, they don't even know I have this YouTube channel, for crying out loud. They don't know how I feel about things because I'm careful about what I say. Anyways, she said, well, there was a group of Americans that showed up there. Like, the protesters can't stop who's going to show up in support or add their flair to it. But they did a really good job of containing it. But nobody's talking about that. You look at what happened in France. In France, they tried to do their own convoy. But what happened instantaneously? There was tear gas. There was smoke bombs going off all over the place. It got violent relatively quickly. There hasn't been any violence here. There hasn't been a store window broken down. There hasn't, you think about that much people all together, and none of that has happened. But we're not seeing that story. Like, we're seeing it because we're consuming alternative sources of information. But there's my girlfriend. She is 63, 64 years old, going to be 65 this year. She watches mainstream media, would never think to consume content from YouTube like we do. And so she believes that people are defecating in the streets, that businesses are suffering, that kids aren't allowed to go to school. She goes, they've made an encampment there. They've made an encampment there. That's what she believes, because that's what she's consuming.
They have a daycare there and a playground built for the children of the truckers, along with their saunas and their hot tubs. And, they're showing that it's a very peaceful protest. Like, what the hell? You name the last protest you went to where they had stupid hot tubs and saunas there.
I'm going to be honest with you, though. Okay, let me just say this with respect to look, if you're going to literally lock down, sure, but if you're looking to if you're honking all night, people are pissed off, and then they wake up in the morning and you're sipping a coffee in a hot tub in the middle of street, I can see why some people are like, "Oh my god, you guys have hot tubs and playgrounds and
the
whatever."
honking thing is a little much.
No,
right?
I will.
Like,
Say,
okay,
but
I can
will
understand when
say
they
so.
first got there. Okay, a big hurrah, hello, we're here, listen to our horns. But now, it shouldn't be like that.
But isn't it funny though how the media is more surprised at a peaceful protest than they are ones where cars and businesses are being lit on fire? Like ones where you have a playground and a sauna are bringing worldwide attention.
Well,
but
you know
light a
why,
car
Ryan?
on fire in
You know
Montreal,
why?
it's nothing.
When there's violence, there's so much activity going around that the media loves it because it's like they're on steroids. When there's nothing going on and it's peaceful, it's boring and they have to make shit up.
Because look, how the hell is a friggin' hot tub worldwide news? Like that's on BBC,
Well,
it's on
germs.
Sky News.
It's germs.
It's
You
like,
know, it's
yikes.
germs. It's just germs.
Jeez Louise.
The
Also,
name's
how the hell
certainly-
did they get the water for it? Is anyone asking this question?
That's
How
not water.
Oh God, Tim Danter, don't
Oh,
go.
dear.
Well, they
Don't
probably
go
brought
to
in a
that.
water truck. They probably have a water truck there with potable
Fire
water.
hydrant.
Yeah. All you need is a wrench for that, right?
Right.
Oh my
Fitting.
goodness.
Well, it's true.
Well, I get where the residents in the downtown core of Ottawa, I get where that would be starting to encroach on their freedom of movement and their right to live in a peaceful situation too. I totally get why there would be frustration on their part. I totally get why everybody's all up in arms and angry about this. But for me now at this point, it's we need to, at the end of the day, if you want to live in a free society, living in a free society means you have to let everybody voice their concerns, even if you absolutely detest what they're saying and you do not believe it has any place in society. Being in a free society means that you have to stand up for the right to say it.
Well,
Now,
and beyond
Do you
that,
guys-
though,
wait a minute. Do you guys think that if the truckers didn't do that, what they've done, that they would be talking about lifting all these mandates now? Or do you think?
No, are
I
you
don't know.
kidding?
We
Okay,
can't make
look.
that assumption because we don't know.
We can't. All we can say is that the timing is about as coincidental as you could ever get it if it wasn't to do with the truckers. Let's just put it that way. No one will ever know, but the timing is perfect. That's all we can say. Not to mention, you guys here in Ontario, Doug Ford, one day, state of emergency, this has to end, you truckers, this and that. Today or yesterday, whatever it was, we're lifting all mandates. I'm done with this. It's like, one, where are you coming from, bro? Like, you're all over the place. But everyone's truly. I mean, have you seen the protests in Israel? Like the convoys in Israel, the one that starts in America, March 4th. Like, this is becoming something where I'm so glad that we're going to finally live like normal human beings with the flu again. But geez Louise, it took 2 years to get here. Like, and
Yeah.
Bitcoin, because we got off of Bitcoin. But what's the dealio with Bitcoin being, do you guys have any information on them seizing wallets or how they do that?
I don't know. I would
Candace.
assume they'd probably go by registered IP address in the wallet. So
I
the
was
IP
wondering if they did it through exchanges. Like,
And that's
through
what I was
regulated
thinking. They probably did it through exchanges.
Like,
It's-
I'm wondering if, because Wealth Simple is one of the only ones registered in Canada, and I'm just like, legally, I'm wondering if that would be their only avenue to go through the Wealth Simples and the Shakepays, and whoever sent them money to shut down that wallet. We haven't heard from them, obviously. There's only been 34 as of last check, but I don't know.
Well, you know what? So hi, Neil.
Hey, Neil.
Love the slicked back hair. We're having a bit of a controversial
Looks like
conversation.
Orange County choppers.
I know. Yeah, he's got his little ponytail going.
Oh, he is in horses.
Yeah, well, we're having a bit of a controversial conversation about freedoms and Bitcoin and why you should want now some Bitcoin, because the government's ability to go in and freeze bank accounts if somebody decides to send $20, $25 to support a freedom movement. Now they're looked upon as terrorists and can have their bank account seized. So, I mean, it's a very slippery slope that they've enacted that for sure. So Ryan has decided he's going to get himself some Bitcoin and put it in a cold storage so that people can't take it and all that sort of stuff. And I'm because we hold a lot of our Bitcoin and Ethereum on BlockFi. it's a US based company. I'm not sure that they can seize that. Not that I've donated anything that I
Well,
think
I don't
from,
think they would.
I think as soon as you attach the word terrorism to it, a lot of countries will let them do whatever they want.
Mm,
Also, a lot of countries, though, have rejected Trudeau's pleas for expats who are helping out this trucker convoy. Expats being a major issue because when they say foreign funding coming in, a lot of them were expats as well, or Canadians living abroad. And this is just the most scariest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I truly cannot believe that they're seizing bank accounts. This is what they do in China. Okay, this is what they do. And now we're in Canada, or Chinada. This is what I'm going to start calling this country, for God's sakes. But like, this is what they're doing. They're taking all of our money, and I don't know what to do about it. So like I said, Neil, if you're just catching up, I'm going to buy some Bitcoin and put it on my ledger. That's it.
Nice.
I wanna post up a comment from Verena here because she's not wrong about this. And this is the other side of the coin. Like she said, you know, we must think about all the people that died because of COVID, and we need to take some measures. It is a societal problem. Verena, you're right. And there's like, I believe that one of the things that we can't do at this point, we cannot allow our healthcare system to collapse. I don't think we're at that point anymore. I've been talking to a lot of the hospitals. As you all know, I sell stuff to the hospitals. I don't think we're at that point of danger, quite the way we were at the beginning of January again. But again, it circles back to this is a funding problem from the government. This is a government funding problem.
Well, you got to look at it this way. Trudeau, a week ago, he said, "I will trust the science." Well, the science is there that it's not as severe as what it was. So the mandate should be lifted if he's going to trust the science, right? I see reports every day about our hospital here, Blue Water Health. Less and less and less and less and less people in there because of COVID, you know. But now I'm hearing from Nay that there's a spin on watch the children again. The children are getting sick again, but I'm not seeing any reports of it. So I'm not sure where he's getting that information from.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So it's a funding problem from that we really have to keep our eyes on. So and that comes down to what the government transfers, that the feds have to transfer the money to each of the provincial governments in order to fund the healthcare in each of the provinces. And there are some fundamental problems that we have to address in this country. One of them is we bring a lot of foreign workers from around the world into our country, and oftentimes they come as professionals, because in order to legally enter our country and not necessarily be like a whatchamacallit, a refugee, not a refugee, but people who come to the country legitimately. Honestly, they sometimes have degrees, doctors, nurses, and all the rest of it. But we've made it incredibly difficult for them to practice here. So they end up being taxi drivers, work in kitchens. They come, they've got a boatload of experience with them, but we're not utilizing them the way we could. And that needs to be addressed. There's got to be some kind of an international criteria or designation that can help get us to a better place with having more doctors and nurses in this country. And we need to be able to fund. The government has to fund this more. But we've been going at this. We've been chintzing out on it. So this is what's put us behind the 8 ball. But so I asked my question now is, shutting down and putting everybody back in their houses to solve a healthcare problem, wouldn't it be more beneficial to figure out how to get more doctors and nurses who are already in this country right now, get their licenses going, and put some more funding in place to support the hospitals in advance of this? They had been predicting a pandemic for years and years. We were talking about it. I had people talking to me about it before it even happened. They were expecting it to come. We had no reserves of PPE in this country. We have no manufacturers of anything that's of importance here. So we're relying, like vaccines, that we're relying on other countries to import all of that stuff, whether you believe in vaccines or you don't. We don't have a manufacturer in this country. You go down the list. We were so ill prepared for this. And it wasn't like it was a secret that it was coming. They were expecting it because it happens. It's cyclical, right? And so my point in all of this is government says they can't afford, that healthcare is too expensive. What, more expensive than shutting down the economy for 2 years? And paying everybody CERB and paying everybody the SEBA loans and paying everybody to not be working and covering off rents and covering this off and covering that. That's cheaper than funding the healthcare system.
That was 10 years of the healthcare system they spent in the last 2 years, really, you know.
Anyways, I got off my bandwagon.
No, I used to work with this girl, and she was from Iran, and she was a doctor. They green stamped her visa to get into the country because she was a doctor. And then the second she got here, they then invalidated her medical license, and she ended up working in a call center.
Right.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's
it happens a lot, though. And that
does.
needs to be rectified.
My cousin is an oncology nurse, and she's retired now. But she had been saying that the funding for nursing in hospitals had been decreasing and decreasing and decreasing to the point where there were so few nurses on the floor and they were run off their feet. They amalgamated departments. Like, she was specialized in oncology. And trust me, if you were at your final days, and you would want her, she's the loveliest person ever to hold your hand and help you to the final outcome. She's just lovely. Then they amalgamated the wards. She said the Cambridge Hospital where she worked was down near the meth clinics and stuff, the meth and the meth homes. And so she had them coming into the hospital in rooms side by side, sometimes in the same ward as somebody dying of cancer. And she said the decisioning, because we were so short funded, she goes, how do I manage through this? This guy won't stay in his bed. This guy's dying. I got family members trying to be here for end of life with this one. Well, we got somebody freaking out on drugs over here. And she says, I'm not equipped to handle both of these situations. And she was the most, got near the end there, she was the most senior nurse, and she had other younger nurses in tears, crying, worrying about their safety, so on and so forth. And she was crying about this for years before the pandemic hit. And then think about it, all the pandemic hits, and all of these nurses, the ones that could retire did, because you can get a job elsewhere. You don't have to be in a hospital now. You can pick up a nursing gig anywhere. And so why would anybody put up with this? So I totally understand what you're saying, Verena. We do not want our healthcare system to collapse, but it goes back to the fundamental conversation that we need to make sure we've got funding in place for it.
I'm a proponent of privatized healthcare. They don't run into certain issues. I think Canada needs to have a better blended model. That's my gut feeling, because public healthcare is just, obviously, when we really need it, it's not up to the challenge at the end of the day.
I think there needs to be a complete re-education of healthcare, because the first thing I would do, from just in the role I've been in, is change it from a health card to a medical credit card, so that people know that if you come to the hospital without it, you will pay a bill. Because a lot of the time what happens is people don't have their stuff up to date. There's nowhere to put it, but you're not going to refuse care. So what happens is people don't respect that they need to keep their information up to date for the system to work, like to know what kind of patients are coming in. But then also, when you have an appointment and then you don't cancel it, or you don't call the rescheduler or tell them you can't make it, it is completely inefficient, because nobody gets penalized for that. Everyone says healthcare is free, which it is not. You pay taxes for it, and that's what people really need to understand. So that if you could tell someone, because I'm in scheduling now, and that's what I do, is I book appointments, that you can't make an appointment. To be honest with you, I'm not too worried about it, because I've got so many different things coming at me that I'll reschedule your appointment, no problem, but I'm going to try and fill that spot. But when that spot's empty that's less people doing their job, especially the techs that possibly could bring in an inpatient that's, needs help, but possibly is just waiting because they have a scheduled appointment that they need to be prepared for. But that's the kind of stuff where we could really find efficiencies. But like, if I could change one thing, it's a medical credit card. It is such a basic, simple change, but I think it would reframe people's idea. And another idea would be like, give out invoices that have been paid for your services so that you give this person a bill and it says, hey, your MRI was actually $1,500. So your balance is zero because you've kept your medical credit card up to date. You don't have a medical credit card? We need your credit card.
Yeah. See, with a 2-tier system, I would actually put a medical tax on the paid tier. So let's say it's 15%. You pay extra if you go and skip the normal healthcare, and then that 15% would then get funded back into your normal healthcare to sort of help keep it going and do help improvements on that side. So it's sort of a way to almost fund itself and allow people who do want to pay and jump line an opportunity as well. So I think something like that could possibly work.
Yeah, I think both of those are good ideas, and I think it needs to foster and have some discussion, and nothing needs to be left off the table in making some changes here. Tim suffers with what you're saying on a regular basis, Neil, because he's considered a medical service. He works for what he does with the driver rehab now is oftentimes he's what do you do? Maybe you should explain.
Oh shit!
I don't want to butcher it. Is
Driver
all I'm saying.
rehabilitation.
But so he has customers, or not customers. He has clients or patients that he's servicing, and they need to treat it like a medical appointment. And when they don't, and they just don't show up, Tim has spent gas money to go and get them. There's usually an occupational therapist with Tim in the car because they're doing rehabilitation.
Then there's a hole in the schedule, just like Neil's saying, and I work my ass off to try and get it filled to make money.
He doesn't get paid. So if he drives out, so if he's here and and because there's not very many of these guys out there that do what he does, and so he drives way out to get them with an OT in the car, you've just spent an occupational therapist time, Tim's time, and he doesn't get paid for any of that. None of it. Doesn't get paid, and he spent his gas money on it, and there's no way to recoup that, and it's brutal. It's brutal.
Yeah, it's just I think people are misinformed about the way the system works, right? Because so many people are like, and I used to see it when I registered patients, like, oh, it's free. We'd have people come and check in for an appointment at the hospital, and they'd be like, I need a health card. I was here like 6-7 years ago. Like just stuff like that, and it's a lack of respect. It's a lack of thoughtfulness that you actually. The reason why you need to register your health card in that is because that's how they budget the what goes to the local resources in your area, and that's also why it's important, like when possible, as long as it's not an emergency, to get care in your area because that's where your tax dollars go to work. But there are so many different situations, but like just in the piece of communicating with patients about how important it is to be on time or to attend, or at least let us know if you can't, you need to reschedule, that would find huge efficiencies without even changing the system.
Do you know?
And maybe that's the first step before you look at bigger aspects of it. But yeah, I think there's so many ways that we could do this better together.
Yeah. Anyways, you know what? I know we've gone down some touchy subjects today. I think it's worth discussing because it's critical you know what it is? It's critical thinking. And and we're losing the ability to have critical thinking and conversations where we can learn from each other. That's what I appreciate about everybody on this call and in the chats, in the people in the chats, because we can respectfully disagree. We can put something different on the table. Like I had a girlfriend, actually it was my cousin, the same one that I was telling you about, the nurse. I was absolutely adamant from the get-go that one possible solution. No, I'm not going to go down this path because it's just too controversial.
Right.
But
we're saving it for next week.
we'll save it for next week.
Called the hook.
It's the hook, but yeah, no, we'll move on. But that's why I just love that we can have a controversial conversation and a fair exchange of ideas and agree to sometimes disagree, and that's okay. As I said, I'm very, very protective of our freedoms in Canada, because once we lose them, clearly they're gone. And I don't want to lose the freedom to speak my mind. I don't want to. And I don't want to be censored anymore. I think that we're living under a world where you can't think freely for yourself anymore. Like, I'm an adult. I'm a free thinking adult, and I want to see the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I'll make up my own decision about what I'm looking at. I can't believe we're being as censored as we are now. It's ridiculous. Anyways, I know Ryan's dying to say something, I can tell.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. No, I just said the state of our country is a total embarrassment to me right now, and I don't feel wrong saying that. I'm embarrassed at our leadership. I'm embarrassed at half of the country right now. I'm embarrassed at legacy media. I'm embarrassed. The whole world is laughing at us, and when we watch Fox News to get the true story, what the hell is going on? Like, seriously. No, but honestly, I like Fox News, but I mean, when they're the only ones putting film footage on, what? Like, is it any wonder why they are the top-rated show in North America, the busiest market in the entire world? No, they're the only ones with news. So it's just, the weirdest thing is, when the frig would I have ever thought that the only place I can get an opinion is Fox? That to me makes no sense. I'm embarrassed. It frustrates me more than I can even imagine, than I can even express right now. I just like, going back to kind of what started this conversation. The Emergencies Act, fine. Blocking traffic, fine. I mean, whatever. Yes, clear it out. Whatever. Do your thing. Blocking bank accounts, blocking or taking crypto, action against crypto. It's like, who do you think you are? But I don't know.
They didn't even do that when they rushed Capitol Hill on that January 6th. Okay, won't get you going on that.
No. I mean, they didn't. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. They
didn't. Even worse than January 6th, almost.
They're reacting. They're overreacting to something peaceful as if it was a January 6th.
And how hard did they try to label this as January 6th until they realized there's too many goddamn bouncy castles to do that? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, geez, Louise, guys,
I just want to interject that I actually was shocked when I saw this link, and it was something about the Fox, the 5, and I went to it, and I was shocked that they made a very valid point. I was shocked that, like, none of this was coming, and it was just that how much kind of hate and division Trudeau was throwing out. And I was like, I never really thought of it quite like that, but it's quite true. And that's something for me that I've always talked about, and it's one of the reasons why I've never liked Trump, is politicians are supposed to have something called class. They're supposed to be able to have a disagreement and respectfully and to go back and maybe have their jabs and their barbs here and there, but for the most part, it's civil. And I just wish we had an election coming up. But I was pissed that it was called earlier, especially for them to get a couple seats and cost us, $600+ million just for their ambition, which was totally misled. And apparently, I could have done better than their prognosticators, just as an amateur. But that's kind of where I was, and I'm sorry that it's. I was bouncing in and out. I should have been. My lighting was terrible. I still think I look like a ghost. I swear I'm not dying or anything.
That's all right. We were calling you Houdini.
No,
But,
and you know that link you're talking about, Neil. I saw that one too. The 5 were giving some really interesting points. Like, one of the things that I thought was really poignant was when, I forget the guy which one of the commentators said, the truckers by their demographic nature are not normally the people that are the change makers in society. That's not the normal demographic that tries to stand up. These are people that they go about their business every day. They get up, they go, they religiously are hardworking. They just go at it. and they come home, they eat their supper, they lie on the couch, watch some TV. Maybe they take their kids to hockey, whatever. And then they start it up and they do it all over again. They just continuously working people. And the fact that these are the ones that are creating the change should have, by its very nature, made everybody stop and take a listen to what they have to say.
Their engagement, it's an area or a section of society generally that isn't super engaged. So they should have looked at it as an opportunity. But yeah, I think there's been a lot of bungling, and it's just made things worse. Right.
Well,
and
I'll tell you.
but yeah,
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Candace.
Last spring is when I actually lost all faith in Trudeau. And I'll tell you why. They held this big vote within the party to determine what were going to be their top 3 topics going forward. 2 of the top 3 were actually UBI. And Trudeau was like, I don't like those, so we're just not doing them. Simple as that. Even though 70 to 80% of the party wanted to do that. So he completely sort of showed a reflection. I'm not saying that UBI was a good move or a bad move. I'm simply saying he completely disregarded his whole party, sort of showing that he's not a fan of, democracy.
Well, if anybody wants to know how the Charter of Rights and Freedoms was crafted with Pierre Trudeau, I got this wicked interview when I was driving across the country with Brian Pickering, and when last surviving guy who signed it, yada, yada, yada. So Pierre Trudeau, when he couldn't get his way on the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, he said he walked out. A famous Trudeau thing now, because we're seeing Justin do the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
House of Commons. And he says, I'm going to do it on my own then. I don't need you. That was a very famous Pierre Trudeau attitude. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. So he's, I don't need you. I'll just do it myself. Well, the premiers took him to court. He absolutely lost. And then he had to go back to the table and redo it so that all of the premiers would sign on as the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Now, that's a very Trudeau thing to do. Get up, walk out. I'm a dictator. I'm the leader. Anything that I say goes. You don't like it? F off. That is what you can do as a business owner, not necessarily as a friggin' leader of the country. He would be a crazy, hard-ass CEO. I bet you he would. I'm not saying he's a dumb guy. You can't become prime minister being a stupid person, okay? He's obviously very smart or cunning. I mean, there's something about him that he's got the ability, right? Justin Trudeau, whether I like him or not, he clearly has the ability to capture, take advantage, and lead, right? But again, he's making missteps he's making a lot of missteps, but it's a very Trudeau thing to do, to stand up and walk out when you don't get your way. And we're really seeing the apple doesn't fall far from the tree with this guy.
Yeah.
My mom never liked either of them, so that's all I'm going to say about that. My mom's actually an English immigrant. I think that was the word you were looking for earlier, Nancy. And she said that Trudeau was more show than substance. And then she also let me know that his wife ran away with the Rolling Stones while he was prime minister. So that's going to tell you something.
There you go.
True power is a guitar, not a gavel.
Oh,
Castro's not Trudeau's dad, right?
I'm not too sure.
I'm not going down that road, but I will say that they look familiar. That's all I'm going to say.
And
I don't think the
that?
timeline makes sense. I'm just going to say that so we don't get banned on this. I think they've disproved the timeline and all this, yada, 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 okay?
I know, but
He's
it's really weird
just,
that was
he's
brought
just
up.
a name and a face.
It's
He
just
would be
truly
prime
he
minister
looks
if his last
identical.
name wasn't Trudeau.
I mean, look, the timeline
There's no
says
way.
that that's impossible. So I don't think we should go down that rabbit hole. But I don't think anyone who looks at a picture of the two of them is going to be like, oh, yeah, there's no way they're related. If you look at a picture of the two of them, you're like, wait, what? And then you go and read the timeline. I'm sorry. That's what everybody does. They're identical looking. But the timeline doesn't seem to work on it, at
I
least.
just had to throw that out there.
Thanks, Ken.
You're welcome.
You wait till Andrew comes on Friday night and I'm on. I'll get him going.
Oh,
There
there
we
we go. There we go. Well, I think it's time for switching gears, because I just want to make sure that we get to one of my lovely favorite topics. What is going on in the metaverse?
That's right. It is now time for the metaverse. And taking no time, we have now jumped in with a funky color. I don't know why it's doing that, but Number 10, we have Engine. They've slowly been falling down. They had a negative 5.9 ROI on the week. I'm still highly, highly bullish on Engine, and I am using those for the Crypto Night in Canada dollar cost average challenge. So hopefully you guys are all doing well on that as well. All right, number 9. And once again, this color is freaking me out. It's not this color on my screen, so I don't know what's happening here. So number 9 is Wilder World. That we've seen them before. They're back on the chart again. They were up 7.9% this week. This was actually a pretty rough week for everybody, metaverse-wise. So it's going to be interesting to see how this rolls out. Number 8 is our Phantasma. They fell from number 3 last week. They were down an amazing 11.9% on their return on investment. So that's pretty bad. Number 7. This one's a new one, and those 2 blue lights are actually red lights. This is my first ever red alarm. This is a red alarm one. It's called ETHverse. They were up 35.5%, but don't buy them. Seriously, don't.
Really?
And I've got under no circumstance it is a good idea to buy these. And the reason for is there's actually legal action that had been put against ETHverse. So they've actually ceased their game. So their game is not running. And there were issues with the end user agreements on the gaming platform that they were using. Now they're being basically being moved over to Merkle. So there's going to be a 1-to-1 ETH token or ETHV token over to the Merkle token. So this is something that's in process. I really wouldn't get involved with these. But that's one of the things I kind of wanted to show you, that just because something is doing well, like a plus 35.5%, it's not a great idea. There's also not a huge volume here. Like their market cap's only 480K. So this is one to, even though their stats were enough to get them on the list, I put the alarms on there because there's no way in good conscience I would like to see anybody buy these guys. So that's
Good to know.
Pardon?
Good to know.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Number 6 was our number 1 from last week, Polka City. They were down 14.5%. So like I said, a lot of interesting things. The number 1 this week actually is very interesting, but we'll get there in a moment. Number 5 is Benzene, not the chemical, but the actual game. This is a game where you get to blow up cars. So basically, you create your NFT war machines. It's all apocalyptic, sort of almost like a Mad Max type game. And you're basically going around. You can mine or you can attack enemies. Now, this game here is interesting because you can steal money from people.
What?
So you can attack other players and take some of their money. And you can sell your protection services. Sort of like the mob, almost. You could be like, I will protect you from these other players.
Heck?
It's a wild west for
craziness.
crypto. Go in at your own peril.
They were up 23.5%. So this is nuts. But
Hey, you know what
people are
I'm
liking it.
visualizing? I'm visualizing. I'm visualizing Ryan in his space suit with his tube wrapped around himself. I'll protect you.
No,
Give
I'm
me
just
your
visualizing
crypto.
Grand
Give
Theft
me your
Auto.
crypto.
Ryan's
every time you
username in
beat
this is
someone up,
called
you steal
Tony
their
the
ETH.
Tuna.
Tony the Tuna.
So, if you see Tony the Tuna, run.
Oh, jeez.
Number 4, we've seen these guys once before. DeFi Land. So they're another one of the agricultural simulation lands games. They were up 24.1%. You've got staking, crafting, trading, a lot of the same things. What's interesting about DeFi Land, though, is that they are built on Solana. So most of these are built on Ethereum, but this is one built on Solana. So that's kind of a cool thing. All right, number 3, Crypto War X-Blade, up 34.8%.
The names, I love them.
I know. So these guys, they're a play to earn game. They have a lot of incentives. Like 17% of all their coins are reserved for incentives towards people. They also do airdrops, and the airdrops do not include in that 17%. They have an additional 8% for their airdrops. You've got staking, so you can make passive income. One of the things that their goal is they want to be able to offer their players the opportunity to play enough to make a full-time employment by doing that. So that's kind of where they're geared towards, and that's pretty cool. All right, number 2. No changes there. It is Mana again. So Decentraland, they were down 4.7%. Number one. This is somebody who's been in number one a lot. They fell completely off the charts last week, the first time in a long time, and they came smashing back all the way to number one. It's Magic Yen.
Ah, Magic.
Up
I know.
34.8%. Last week, I think, was just a little bit of, I don't know, just a little dink.
Correction?
But a little correction. But this is just one that I wish it was on. If this was on one of the servers that I currently am enrolled on, I would definitely be buying some. This is not financial advice, folks, but that's what I would be doing.
It's on eToroX and
yeah,
crypto.com and
hopefully we get a couple more servers that pick up,
do you know what my problem on all of this, Candace, is that I actually want to see the games and I want to decide for myself if these games are could I see this going big before I invest in any of this?
A lot of these ones you can you can get in fairly cheaply, and at least just to try it out. So that's an option. And I always think that one of these weeks we should just do that. We should just have a games night, and we just all log into a game, and we'll find one of the ones that are free to play and just sort of try it out, and then live stream the whole thing. That could be interesting.
Well, just before you head on, Pear Bear is saying Kitty Inu is going to be running wild on Candace's top 10 in T-2 months. That's a Tim Perry pick.
You know what?
Pear Bear, please.
I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised at all.
Is that Tim?
No. You've got it all muddled.
It's Pear Bear.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's move over to the stocks.
I'm not good at this game. I'm not good at this game.
All right.
I know.
So the stocks, they didn't do very well. Metaverse stocks last week. You're not going to see Facebook. Facebook was down like a whopping 35% over the last week. So they're like, if we did a top 100, they would probably show up. But so no Facebook this week sorry, Facebook fans. All right, number 7, Unity Software. Once again, they fell down from 2. They were down 6.48%. There were a lot of big losers this time around. Coming in at number 6, EA. They fell 2.4% in their ROA last week. So that's actually not that bad to be only down 2.4%. But we're seeing this rate across the board. We have seen EA before, so they're back on the charts again. Let's go to this one here. Now, this is a brand new company that we have not seen before yet. They're called Cloudflare. They were down 4.21%, but they still did well enough with some of their other metrics to get them here. So
I'm just going to say this right now. Cloudflare is, you guys know, if you watch my channel, I call them YouTube stocks. Cloudflare comes from one of my favorite guys who I'm not going to mention. It's a serious YouTube stock. Everyone should keep that in mind too.
Yeah, absolutely. But their statistics did get them on the list this week.
Yeah.
Where they sort of what they do is they are basically helping to build the software infrastructure. One of the things that they're doing is this thing called edge computing, which is basically instead of having a central server, so when you send anything, you have to go all the way to someplace in the middle of the continent and back. What they're doing is putting servers that are close, more localized servers, to process a lot of stuff, thus causing a lot more speed. They also do provide tools for developers to create serverless applications, which is ideal for some interactive digital apps. And as Ryan said, these guys do get heavily promoted by some of the YouTubers. So take them with a grain of salt.
Doesn't mean that it's bad at all.
No, it doesn't mean that it's bad.
Yeah, it's just keep in mind when 4 million people are watching a video about the same stock. Keep that in mind, right?
Yeah.
So wait a minute. I'm confused. Are we happy? Are we excited about Cloudflare, or are we not excited about Cloudflare?
Well,
it's a good company. Yeah, I mean,
it's a good company. But, and this is kind of what Ryan's getting back to, they haven't done well enough to make the top 7 yet until today. So if they're here because of a pump, keep that in mind. They may not be, their numbers may be a little bit better than they really are. Not saying that they're a bad company. It's that they've been pumped. That's
Yeah,
maybe
that's the only thing. Is like I
Oh.
notoriously, even if it's a great company, I'll avoid anything mentioned by my favorite 4 YouTubers because they represent about 5 million people, right? So when they constantly keep mentioning the same thing over and over and over, you're going to see that natural pump regardless because of retail traders who have no clue what's going on. Cloudflare just happens to be on that list. Now they might be one of the companies that's at 10x, but the point is it's on their list. So that was my only point.
All right. And that takes us to number 4, which is Google. They were they moved up a little bit. They were down 3.92%. But like I said, bad week for most of the tech stocks in the list. Take-Two Interactive, they moved up again to 3 from 6. So, and once again, I mean, everybody loves GTA, so I have a feeling this is going to be a pretty good company once they get the next version of GTA into the metaverse. Look out.
They're working on something crazy with GTA right now too.
They are.
It's gonna be wild.
I know. Number 2 is Disney. They've returned again. They're one of the few companies this week that have had positive return on investment. So they were up 5.52%. So Disney's looking good. And I think a lot of it has to do with, well, they had an earnings call not that long ago that was better than expected. So number 1, once again, this is a company that I know Ryan hates. Snapchat. They're just holding on with a negative 0.99. They just held on. Go ahead, Ryan.
No, you finish your thing because I want to hear your opinion when you're done on this. Sorry.
Okay. So Snapchat, I mean, a lot of what they bring to the metaverse is going to be around just the different shells they can create for the avatars. I don't see them going much beyond that, but they've managed to hold on for a little bit. I don't see them as being top number 1 for a very long time.
Okay, now this is one thing. I hate this company and I hate this app. I will say this, though. In the last, 15, 20 years of gaming, the only thing that people are actively spending money on that is somewhat metaverse-like is gamer skins, right? So like skins for your player, skins for your game, basically a different look or different makeup for your weapon or whatever. That's basically what it is. That's been already in action. So if Snapchat has the ability to capitalize on that in the metaverse, I think they're already ahead of the game with a business model that's proven. Now, on the negative side with Snapchat, they just had a day where they pumped 60%. Now they corrected a little bit. Is this still a buy for you in the long run? Or are we going to look for, pretend, I'm not saying you're buying it, but pretend we're talking about timing this market. Are we waiting for a bigger correction based on that 60% pump? Or what are you thinking?
I wouldn't buy right now, only because I still say they're up towards the high at where they're at right now. I think they're going to come back down. I think there'll be more buying opportunities. If this is something that you do want to get into, I would at least wait for them to come down another 20 to 40% at the very least before you even consider trying to DCA into them. That's what I would look at for this group.
Totally agree.
But yeah, one honorable mention, though, is Intel. They didn't have enough points to jump up, but there are some interesting rumors about them acquiring a very major chip manufacturer. I think it's in Korea. So that could be very interesting, and that could make Intel a much bigger player in the chip manufacturing industry. And as we all know, chips and metaverse are like... they're, I don't know.
Chips and salsa.
There we go. Yeah, I was trying to think of 2 things that went together, and I was going to say, like Ryan and being cranky, but.
Oh, that's funny. Well, Candace, yet again, really, really appreciate the update on the metaverse. It's such a ton of work you put into this every week.
One last thing before we leave here. If you remember last week when this came up as number 1, I said it was a good thing Ryan wasn't here. He would have words to say.
Yes.
I stand correct on that one.
You are so right. So the top 7 metaverse stocks and the top 10 metaverse coins brought to you by Mountain Finance. Thank you,
And
Candace.
Our first
really
ever
appreciate
siren.
And our first ever siren.
I really don't know what went wrong with the color. Like it's
Nothing.
actually
On our end,
red.
Candace, it was a red siren. The colors were perfect.
Oh, really?
So,
It was on my end then. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, switching gears, we have a question. Neil, why are my comics going down in price the last few days on VV? Do we got any idea what's going on with that?
I think it's just kind of how the market runs. Like people will take their profits and move it into a different piece. It's kind of just from being more involved the last few months, you kind of see it go up and down. It's very similar to crypto in that sense. There was a major pump, and now we're kind of seeing towards the end of it. The pump was a few weeks ago, but we're kind of seeing the tail end, I think.
In the collectibles, we call that a paper cut.
Correct. Come on now, cut it out.
And we don't have anything in the real world anymore. It's all virtual. There's no paper.
Hells yeah. It's like, why do I want to live in the real world if they're just going to freeze my account? I'll go live in the digital world.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, yeah.
That's
So,
okay. Someday Tim will be a virtual paper boy.
So,
It's
but
true.
the one thing, yeah, you got it, Pear Bear. I am Joey Gladstone's illegitimate child. But what I would say is when these comics and that do dip, I don't know if it's just because like I've seen the big pullbacks and stuff with coins and stuff, but I've actually been using it as an opportunity. So I've bought at least another 20 comics. I picked up a second or the first edition Daredevil for a really good price. It's already up from where I bought it, and that's my second copy. So just try and look at it as an opportunity. Like I bought a whole bunch of $13 comics. And that's pretty cheap, a couple $12 comics, but I just focus on what you're trying to do and what you want, and make sure you have stuff you like, or at least buy it cheap so you can sell it later. But I have one particular comic. I've got 13 copies of it now, so I'm just gonna wait until it goes up to a certain price and then sell a whole bunch. And then I've been kind of mint hunting. So like I had a couple collectibles. One of them I spent about an extra $30 to get it. And when I bought it and then sold mine. And I went up, or I dropped under 10,000 mint, and I dropped I dropped another 10,000 off the mint number. So I'm inside 1,000 or whatever. And so like I've just been doing a few different things, but especially now that the drops are very difficult. Like I haven't hit on anything except for I got another you'll like this, Tim, an NFL all day pack today on the beta. So there's Super Bowl moments. So I've hit 3 out of 4. I missed the 1 week, and then there's a big one that's much more expensive. That's the special like edition one. So I'm gonna try and grab that too. But like for theirs, you get into a waiting room like 30 minutes before the drop. And when the drop starts, you just randomly get put somewhere in the queue if you're in the waiting room. And the one time I was late, I didn't get a pack.
It'd be awesome in those packs, those drops that they're doing for the NFL, is if they had the halftime of Snoop's warm up.
Really sweet. And then you actually got like a physical NFT to go with it.
Yeah, there you go. A little sample system.
But I also sorry.
Did you want me to answer that Disney question that you put up earlier?
Yes.
Okay, so the reason that you can't buy Disney straight on Wealthsimple is there's a clearinghouse in Canada. It's called CDS, and Disney's not eligible to be on CDS. That's why you can't buy them through Wealthsimple. You can certainly buy their CDR though, because that's another
which is
ballgame.
identical. Just in case people are wondering. Yeah.
And just because I mentioned Wealthsimple as well, I signed up to do the Plus early, so I have a copy of that. So I'm going to put together tomorrow a complete guide to how to use Plus and all the ins and outs for that. So if anybody's interested in seeing that, that'll be dropping probably a little bit later in the day tomorrow, because I got to do a lot of screenshots still for it.
Can we go back for 1 second, Neil, because I wasn't understanding. Thank you, Candace. Verena says thank you. I wasn't understanding this room where you go in to get this drop. Like, where are you going to do that?
So it's you need to go in and sign in like with your account to go into the waiting room for the drop.
Like the VV account?
Well, this would be for Dapper Labs, which is
Dapper Labs. Okay.
Yeah. So I think VV will probably be something similar, but it's like a lot less stressful because it tells you kind of how long it will take. They let you put in your email and then you get 20 minutes after notification, like to go and buy. So it's just kind of like that. Whereas VV, it's like instantaneous. You know you got it, and more likely for me lately is I know I didn't get shit. I mean, anything.
Yeah.
Like it's so fast now. Like it almost doesn't even let me hit buy half the time. It's just like, no, sorry, too bad, so sad.
Yeah. We have Dalj has a question. He said, I think I may have messed up transferring OMI to VB as they haven't shown up yet. These were sent from a Sendex exchange. Neil, any advice on what might have happened? Did you have any trouble moving yours over, Neil?
I didn't, but I did do it before they did the migration.
So that's his thing, is that Dolge may have lost everything. Hopefully you didn't. But if he did it after migration and didn't kind of do that token swap that you had to do to get from layer 2 to layer 1 or layer 1 to layer 2, whatever it was, forgive me if I'm wrong on that. If you did that after the fact, you might be out of luck on that. Like, because
I would contact support for sure.
Yeah.
Genuine. Yeah. Like they're pretty good. Like if you're doing this in good faith, they're gonna do everything they can to help you. But yeah, I did it. I did mine before migration, and I saw it quite quickly.
Okay.
So sorry
And
about that. That's
Marshall just also put that there's a bunch of tricks to get the drops. Guys have channels on YouTube that explain it, but the VV Facebook group is great as well. So
all the tricks I've found are aren't working as well lately. But I think it's just like pure volume. Like there are so many people trying to access these drops, whether more collectors are coming or more people see that there's an opportunity to make money. It's probably both. But like I'm just looking at I'm still farming Defin or Define and Root. I've been just chugging along, and I think I'm going to take a little bit out of that soon and put some more into VV. So I'm really looking towards VV as my long term. It just depends on where the market goes and if I still have time to get it under a cent. It's at 0.6 or 0.006 something right now. So
I literally just sent a notification to my channel members because while we were doing the metaverse, I sold every stitch of OMI that I ever had. And I literally just got out of it. My only thing with OMI is, and I replaced it. And keep in mind, it's only $250 Canadian. So it's a fart in the wind, right? My only thing with VV is basically like, I'm not interested in Top Shots like whatsoever, but I like the idea that Top Shots, because can't you swap Top Shots for crypto again?
Yeah, so I just picked up my first Top Shots pack, and that's the basketball one. NFL all day, there's nothing right now. It's pure beta. So that's why I keep grabbing packs and I haven't opened them because like it's an unfinished product, right? So it's the longer I wait, I feel the better. I'm also going to try and go on the secondary market to pick up another unopened pack to maybe create a set and then charge something astronomical. But I am kind of sticking to, I think, a little bit safer ones that are licensed. And the reason why I wanted to get in with Dapper Labs is to be honest with you, I have no interest in any of these cards. I love the NFL, I watch it. But I see huge value in this because of how big the NFL is in North America. Like you combine all the other leagues together, they're still not as big as the NFL. And
no, you're right. And so you're saying that's on Dapper Labs?
Yeah,
Neil?
so Dapper, and that's on the Flow.
What Jason was showing.
Yeah, so that's what Jason's been doing for a while. So I guess because I'm a new user to the app and they want to get me in there, I got a really crazy deal. I got a $9 pack that guaranteed I had a Kevin Durant moment in it. So I'm like, well, I'm sure as hell not opening that pack because I feel like I'm going to be able to sell that pretty easily in the future. So, I'm just doing the same thing. I keep accumulating, and then I minted a couple passes a few months ago, Recur, and they've got some really interesting stuff. They still haven't announced anything, but they're apparently there's a lot of similarities to Ecomi and Vivi, and a lot of people I've been following in that are in on it, and they just sold another one, another pass for like $88,000. And these passes, you don't even know what they give you access to. You don't know if you have to buy stuff. So, and I've got one that's quite rare. So I'm just, I'm getting giddy. The longer I wait and hold, the better things are going. The floor's
Fun fact
already
about Danter Labs, they actually started with crypto kitties before they moved into Top Shot.
Really?
I didn't know
Yes.
that. Yeah, it's the Flow blockchain too. They're on Flow blockchain. So
Interesting.
that could be something that I'm actually starting to consider because I'm using the product right with NFL all day and that, and they just signed UFC. Even though I'm not really into UFC, but I'd look at that as another opportunity possibly to like collect early editions of things. But
this is also something I was thinking too, though. At the end of the day, I was putting so much value on this Disney and Marvel and all of this license deals at the end of the day, right? Fan freaking tastic, because otherwise I would not be involved with VV. The liquidity to cash thing is my only issue with OMI right now, and that's why I've changed out things. But the NFL thing is amazing. Top Shots sounds very cool. Do you think OMI stands a freaking chance, though, going long term? Because the only reason I say that, let's just say I've got $1,000 comic right now. I can sell it off VV, but I'm only going to get $600. Best case scenario. If I want to sell it within an hour, I'll get 500. But it's like, so are these prices are obviously not real with respect to cash value, like actual cash value. So I'm just wondering, do you think that the OMI floor price will catch up to reality with the pricing, or like with what you can actually get? Or is that just a perpetual thing where OMI's price or VV's price is always going to be double or triple what you can get on the market, and what you can get on the market is what it's worth? Like, it just seems inflated, and I don't understand why, because you can't get it. You know what I mean? Like, I can get half of that.
I think there will be an opportunity to take it off the app and to actually like trade your gems. I think what that would be traded into would be the biggest question mark. Yeah. But long term, I am extremely bullish on this project. Like where it started and where it is, and they're still technically in beta. It's there. You just, I think, need to be a little bit more patient in that sense. In that, it's. If you've invested tens of $1,000s on app, that would be frustrating. But I think long term, just holding these things you will definitely do all right. But the floor for Recur last time I looked was just under $800, and that was before they just had those 2 diachrome sales that were pretty large. So we minted them for $300. So I got a couple of them. But yeah, they just signed. So Recur, they've just inked a bunch of deals. They've got over 50 NCAA schools signed up. So it'll be very interesting to see where they go with this. I think it's going to be a little bit more maybe experience and getting involved with stuff as opposed to just collectibles. But yeah, it's kind of exciting to take a chance and win something, and possibly it could be a big deal.
I have a question for anybody on the panel or anybody in the chat. Has anybody made an NFT yet? Have you figured out how to make an NFT?
Well, yeah, I guess I have, if you count Zedrun.
No, but if you've got an idea, so say, for instance, your daughter does a drawing, a really fabulous drawing, and she's a savant in art, and you decide you're going to put an NFT stamp on this and put it out there on that. Has anybody tried that?
No. I haven't. No, I haven't.
Okay. I want to start to look into that. And the reason why, after we did that show, I think it was 2 weeks ago, where I talked about food and NFT. And remember, I told you about that coffee company, and if you're part of their NFT and you're collecting their stuff, and then you can get some of their coffee. I started thinking about the other real world applications for this. And so I'm going to dabble with it a little bit. I was just looking to see if anybody else has done it yet. Oh,
The
so
only thing
Scott DeRosa is saying on OpenSea. Okay.
The only thing I would almost recommend too is if you're going to mint your own, maybe put it on a network that's not Ethereum, just to avoid all of those gas fees.
Well, that's another thing
Solana.
too I wanted to bring up. Okay,
Yeah.
because again, a lot of the big, like, let's just say the rich of the rich of the rich of the rich. Okay, they're buying Solana out of their freaking a-hole, like literally, whether it's Mark Cuban or Kevin O'Leary or whoever you want to talk about in this space. Go look at their personal websites. Go look at their Twitter. I mean, it's Solana, 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 Solana. What am I missing about Solana? Question for everybody, because I don't know anything about it. You guys know I'm the crypto skeptic. What is it with Solana, and why are the people with money avoiding ETH and choosing Solana for NFTs?
A cheaper blockchain to use.
Yeah,
Is that
much
it, though?
cheaper.
Is that really it?
If you mint an NFT on Solana, it's a lot cheaper than what you're going to be charged in ETH on the Ethereum network.
It's also faster.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's it, though. That's that. It literally just comes
There's a
down
lot
to
of
minting
people
fees.
looking at Solana as being the new ETH. They really are, and that's
They're
why
probably hedging bets, though, right? Like they've probably got more than enough.
That's what I'm
ETH,
thinking.
More than
Yeah. So
enough
the three-
Bitcoin. Yeah.
So the
Well,
3
Cyberhawk
month,
just said
the
this
3
too.
month on the 3 month on Solana was back on December 3rd. It was hovering between 200, 250. Now you're down to $101.
Look at it this way too. If you mint on Solana, you're going to get a lot more of that profit. It's not going to be eaten up by gas fees. That's
Yep.
one
Well,
of the things.
I get that. I just mean, at the end of the day, though, are they enough to push Solana forward? Because it seems like no one gives an SH about Solana unless you hear about somebody rich in Solana. That's at least for me, because I haven't heard anything about it.
ETH is, first mover. So people have probably used that the most and been there, and that could be part of it. I haven't really checked out much Solana stuff at all, to be honest.
Also, it's a lot easier to create a token on the Ethereum network than it is these other networks right now. So I think that's another thing that's pushing it. It's very easy to make a contract on Ethereum.
I'm starting to get, and tell me if I'm an idiot here, I'm starting to get really sick and tired of hearing about people complaining about Ethereum gas fees, because I believe in the free market. And clearly there's demand for Ethereum and demand for the products and apps or whatever, the tech associated, whatever. So, I mean, it seems like people have decided they don't give a crap about the gas fees. So, I mean, that's just me. That's just my...
Well, no, that's true. If you don't want to pay the gas fees, go to an exchange. If you want to get the coin before it gets to an exchange and possibly get your 10x or 100x, you're going to pay the gas fees. You're going to get it on
Okay, so now I have a question for you guys regarding Solana. So let's just say, I mean, this might be a crude analogy. Do we remember Blu-ray fighting HD DVD?
Mhm.
Okay, so if Solana is the HD DVD, let's just say, okay, if Solana is the HD DVD, do those NFTs become absolutely useless after the fact? And then I got a follow-up question if that's the case. Like, if Solana is nothing, are their NFTs worthless, or can they get on the Ethereum blockchain somehow?
I'm sure, like, as technology advances, there'll be a chance to bridge it, right? Like,
yeah, there's cross-chain coming and everything like that. So
because I was just wondering,
it's cheaper to build it there.
I was just wondering, though, given the biggest and craziest investors in the world seem to be like behind Solana for NFTs, I was just wondering if they wouldn't let it fail, almost like a too big to fail kind of thing. And it made me think that even if I don't believe in Solana or their NFT or whatever, I just wonder if their presence in Solana alone kind of means that it's going to go somewhere. Does that make any sense? I mean, the people behind Solana, I can't see them letting it go to zero.
Yeah, but the thing is, I've seen a lot of people with a lot of money that turn out to be idiots. So you never know.
And
okay, sure. And I mean, even
they
Gary
could
Vee, though,
they could be hedging it, like Neil said. Just in case, I better dump. I've seen that in many of these wallets that these whales carry. Just in case, let's buy 2 million of this, 6 million of that, and one will fail and one will prosper, and in the end, they still profit. So,
and we've also got Polkadot and Parabridges. It's going to allow movement between all of these networks. So there is a lot. I think there's going to be a lot of movement. I think you're going to get to a point where you'll be able to have an NFT on one network and move it right over to another network. So it's going to be really interesting. And this is not, we're not talking long-term future. We're talking within the next couple of years.
Just think about the amount of cost associated with convenience, though. If we think gas fees are an issue now, what's it going to be if we can click a button, cross however many chains, and it happened in 2 freaking seconds? We don't think there's going to be an associated fee with that that's maybe comparable to ETH?
I wouldn't think so.
We don't
Because
know what the fees will look like on that.
yeah,
Sorry, there were 2 of you talking at the same time.
Sorry.
I was just
Okay.
saying I was saying we don't know yet what the fees are going to look like on that.
Yeah.
I think it's going to get to a point, though, especially once we have ETH2 enter the fray, their prices should come down.
ETH2, from what I heard, has been shut down.
Oh, wonderful.
Just saying, they're doing
What's
something
been
else.
what's been
instead.
shut down?
ETH2?
ETH 2.0, from what I hear, they're doing something else with it.
Yeah, they're calling it a different name, right?
Oh,
That's a
wonderful.
little homework for everybody. I'm not sure what they're doing, but just the rumors that I'm hearing, ETH 2.0 has been shut down.
Yeah.
There's a
Who cares?
lot
That means we can all still mine from home. Hey-yo.
There you go. And
Psych.
considering how long it's taken for ETH2 to show its face, I'm not surprised to hear that it's shut down or is going to be shut down. Or
I have so little faith in that stick man who's running ETH that it's like mind-blowing. I mean, I watch him walking around and I just don't. I mean, if there was ever something or someone I had so little faith in where I put my money, I'm like, oh my God,
Come on.
Vitalik, man.
support your local Canadian, yo. He's Canadian, eh?
I don't care if he's Canadian, bro. What the hell? My friggin' money's stuck with this guy sometimes.
I know a lot of Canadians, if you support them, you'll get your bank account frozen. So,
I love your mug.
No, yeah, that's true.
oh yeah, it's green.
Classic.
It's
Do it
actually-
again. Do it again.
It's actually an olive green. I thought it would actually be different enough from the green screen that it wouldn't show up, but no, it's here.
You've got very
Oh my
powerful lights,
goodness.
Candace.
There's a hole in my heart.
Okay, Zach is saying can't be worse than Robin Hood and Vlad. Robin Hood had an all-time stock price high at $85, now sitting at $13. I'm buying Robin Hood before I buy certain other stocks. I promise you that. I believe in Wealthsimple so much, and Robinhood is a better version of Wealthsimple. I think people don't like Robinhood because of the person behind Robinhood, but we also need to think about what the people behind Wealthsimple would have done during the GameStop craze that saw so much money in a matter of a second for a brand new freaking platform virtually. Let's just be real for a sec. I don't think there's anything wrong with Robinhood. In fact, I love it to death. And Vlad saved more people money than lost money, okay? You guys would be shitting bricks if he allowed trading to be open that day on GameStop. Flat out, guys. But I'm going to be a buyer of Robinhood. I'm certain of it one day. I'm certain of it. I believe in Robinhood as much as I do Wealthsimple, and Wealthsimple changed my life. Like,
Did you see that Wealthsimple was advertising on the Olympics?
yes, and their ads are the most annoying ads I've ever seen in my life. I'm just going to say it now. It's like every YouTube video, they know I use Wealthsimple because it's like, can I tell you again to sign up for Wealthsimple? It's like, oh my God, bud, I've been here with you for a year. Stop showing me your stupid ads. It drives me insane. But they advertise like crazy. That's also
Maybe they should have done the floating QR code.
This is a cue for any YouTuber out there to start pumping your code ASAP because of their marketing efforts that they've already put into place. Little tip.
Yes, if anybody's watching on this and they don't have a Wealthsimple, there's
Click
a
the
link
link
down below.
No, but keep this in mind. If you're already signed up for Wealthsimple but haven't got your 2 free stocks, go look at their code below and get your 2 free stocks. You didn't necessarily have to sign up with them, okay? But let's say you're late to the friggin' party. We're not going to blame you. I know you've hit subscribe to make up for it. But then you're going to go into the general description. You're going to look at their little code, and you'll get your 2 free stocks, even if you didn't use their link, folks. Simple as that.
Yep.
Had to pump it, guys.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. So just going around the room and see what everybody's up to for this week, because we'll close it off. We're at 1 hour and 43 minutes. So for all of those of you who've been in the chat, chatting with us all the way through, Good on you. You stuck it through our freedom chats. You stuck it through all of the other things we've been talking about tonight. So let's go over to Mountain Finance, I guess, over here.
Sure. So as I mentioned, tomorrow I'm going to do a complete breakdown of the new Wealthsimple Plus. I'll also include the integration of cash into Wealthsimple. So I'm going to break that down, show you how it all works. It's definitely fantastic. In addition to that, on this weekend, Gary is going to be my guest on the show, and we're going to be talking about your hustles, how to make some extra money. And the last thing I'll leave my little update on is taxes are coming, and my channel is going to be your destination for tax information. I've got 4 to 5 videos that'll be coming out over the next couple of weeks to get you all ready for crypto taxes, stock market taxes, just taxes in general. So save some money. Come on over.
Love it. All right, let's go to Mr. Ryan. What's going on in your world this week?
I also have the exact same video coming out, so don't worry which channel you get it from, okay, folks? But there is a lot to talk about with the changes on Wealthsimple, so that will be interesting. I'm also going to be doing an update video on the Shakepay challenge that Tim and Nancy Danter did create, because my mind has shifted, and Dogecoin is a joke to me now, even though it started as a joke. I'm going to be I got my Doge. Also, I don't feel bad for it. I got about 700 Doge for absolutely nothing for free. So I'm cool with that. I'm just going to hold it. My whole goal was to get enough Doge to buy something off the Tesla website, as stupid as that sounds, but I just wanted to do it. But I might keep going until I have 1,000 Doge, but then right after that, it's just shifting to BTC, and I have no regrets about that whatsoever. So things change, obviously, as the country changes, right? But anyway, so my opinion on Doge now is about as much as I value a decanter for tequila, I'm gonna get off Doge once I have enough. But that's it. I mean, outside of that, changes a little bit more so for the channel members, but yeah, that's it.
And you've got the market close, right?
Every day.
Excellent.
I didn't realize that was full screen there. My bad. I was on a different screen.
Listen.
I wouldn't have been turning around like an idiot. Sorry.
No, we were trying to play around with it before. So right in the
it just
middle
gave it a
of
new spin. That's all.
Anyways, so let's go to the freaking Oracle.
Hey, yo.
Full screen, had to do it, right?
Yeah.
So Friday, I don't know what the hell's going on. Andrew will probably stop by. Last week I had Nay in there, actually. Nay might stop by.
Wait. Before you go on, I want to understand. You had a secondary little video, and I was watching it, but I didn't understand it was. And then a little tune gets strummed along. Was he serenading our Ryan?
Oh hell yeah, he loves rye.
He's obsessed.
Yes, he's fresh obsessed.
Because Jill recommended that I do this. Okay. Jill recommended I do this. She said, you better send that SOB a friggin' Valentine. So, Jill, I sent him a Valentine. Andrew responded, happy Valentine's, bro. So, look, we exchanged Valentines with each other. Thank you, Jill, for reminding me.
I'd even made a special Valentine's for him to send, but it was too late.
It was too late. I already sent it to him. I already said, happy Valentine's, bro. He responded back, I love it. Happy Valentine's. Gotta love Andrew.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So anyway, so Ken, you've got your Friday night. Are you having another Saturday night one? Are you having a Sunday night? What's going on?
Well, it is the long weekend.
Oh, shippy, it is, isn't it? Oh, geez, we might have a 4-day video going on here or something. I don't know. Just want to let everybody know I did buy some Lily. SATA Mask should be actually open and running in the next 2 weeks. SATA Realty token will be launched. It has to do with real estate. Some big things coming.
Well, I love it. Awesome. So, and Neil, are you doing something really fun with the girls for the long weekend?
No, I'm running away. So no.
Where are you going?
No, I'm not going anywhere. So no, I got a sled run that I created out back here. And we'll work on that and see if we can get them all the way down. And it starts at the very back of the property, I live in the city, but I guess the yard, and comes all the way to the back door.
So did you take my advice and curve it before it hit the garage wall?
I did. Yes. So, my spouse does prefer their safety, but I do like to hear them scream with fun.
Oh,
So,
thought you were going to say torture. I was going to say I do like to hear them scream with torture.
I make it exactly how I would want it at their age, which is as fast as hell, as fast as possible, and they love it. So they're pretty good troopers. Even the youngest is doing it on her own. She's only 2.5, and she's going from the top and everything. So she's a tough one. So. And so I hang out with them all day and collect digital comics and do drops. And I actually just while we were on here, I found a whole bunch of unicorn NFTs on OpenSea, and I'm like, they're like $5 each. I'm like, I'm gonna go buy them some.
Now, Neil, I need you to think of me in your prayers over the next forever, because I made the biggest VV mistake known to man. Okay. I had 2 first edition Daredevils that I bought for like $18 at the time. Okay. Freakishly good deal. I'm thinking $18 for a digital comic. WTF? Anyway, they go up to like $100 or whatever. I sell them both. Okay. So I got like 200 gems. I'm like, holy shit, I'm caking. And I go buy super low mint number What If Spider-Man issues. Needless to say, they fell off a cliff. So I need you to pray for me, man, because I traded 2 gems, 2 friggin' Rockstar comics for 2 of the worst comics known to man. So just pray for me. I'm not a comic guy.
Just you know what? Hold it. It will come back.
I got no choice, bud.
Yeah. So one of the things you could look at is in the future. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to buy 2 of everything, or at times, because then you can always have something that you can get rid of when you need the gems, but you still are holding. But like, it's kind of a good strategy, or buy the dirt cheap ones and just wait for them to go up. I just commented it on Twitter a little while ago. This guy has I think he has 1,000 of one comic, and there's only 600 on the market. And it's just insane. Like, so he is just, and he's been posting it for the last week. He's just accumulating the first appearance of Falcon comic, and he has over 1,000 of them.
He's trying to control the market on that one.
There's Star Trek comics on that?
No, it's the Falcon, like Captain America.
Oh, sorry. I heard Vulcan. My mind raced. Okay.
Give it time.
That was actually funny. Oh, that's funny. I have to just point out, Genuine said, "Oh no, market crash again, long weekend." Am I missing something? Does the market crash after the long weekend every time?
Leading into,
you'll see a little bit of a sell-off because of the uncertainty of that extra day the market's not open. It's not even a market crash. You usually just see shit numbers.
Because I don't think it's an American long weekend, though. I think it's just a Canadian.
Oh, it's President's Day on Monday.
Yeah, but I don't think they take that as a holiday there.
I don't think they do, though. I think it's
okay. Nice.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, this has been fun. Tim and I, we will see you all on next week on Crypto Night in Canada. And you never know, you may just see us showing up on the freaking Oracle show.
Well, you better show up. That's
listen, and we like to do pillow talk, where we sit on our bed with all our 5,000 pillows. Yes, so it's different from the living room talk.
Look, it makes me sick the fact that you sleep in those pillows, because I don't understand, 1, where you get them, and 2, why don't I have them? Why doesn't every household have them? They're body pillows, folks, and they don't seem natural, but yet
Tim let out the secret. They're water pillows. You can get them at Sleep Country because I looked them up.
They're not water pillows.
We have
no, the one I sleep on is, but the one that you see me laying on is not.
We have multiple pillows.
Yes,
multiple pillows for sleep comfort. Sleep is important, Ryan. I will help you in
Canada.
This area.
I get it.
They have a bed of marshmallows.
We have a bed of marshmallows and a big fluffy blanket. It's great. Anyways, have a nice night. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, everybody in the chat for coming in. And if you haven't liked and subscribed, we would love you to do that. We're almost there. It's almost taken us a year, but we're almost at 1,000. Anyways, have a good night. Enjoy